Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a terrific day ahead of you. In today's version of my team selection, as the title would suggest, you will see the very likely -4 that I will be taking. In addition to that, transfer plans which are especially important because they've changed, and I have no intention of wildcarding before Game Week 13, hence the team must look strong. And a look at Game Week 7 and 8 because they're slightly awkward in terms of fixture sets. In addition to that, we've also got specific player insights, very important as always, and where my armband is landing. So all of that to look forward to. If you enjoy at any point in the video, a like, a hype, a subscribe, all would be greatly appreciated. But other than that, not much else needs to be said. Like I said, have a terrific day and enjoy the video. The first major talking point of the team is the fact that Gabriel is on the bench and Kirkes starts ahead of him. And I thought, considering that's the main thing, we'll get right into it there. So why? This is a close decision, and it's a decision that is absolutely not final. I'll still weigh it up and consider all the variables as we approach the deadline and get closer and closer. For me, at the moment, I think Kirkes is more likely to keep a clean sheet than Gabriel. I did consider Gabriel's higher chances of DEFCON, but Kirkes has been very good on DEFCON. It may not appear that way, but he got 10 against Everton, and then he got 9 in the 2 games he started prior, excluding Burnley, right, just taking that bit out. So in that regard, he's been quite good, and his nature in general is one which is very aggressive. So you can imagine with him constantly trying to engage in the duel, he can get DEFCON from there. And like I said, going back to it, I just think Palace are less likely to score than Newcastle. Anthony Gordon's back for that fixture as well. They'll have a lot of firepower at Newcastle. Whereas with Sarr, maybe he starts from the off, but he's still got to reintegrate himself again into not so much the starting lineup in terms of being selected, but just in terms of his fitness. And without him, I think having a lot of the reliance on Mateta and Munoz, I don't think you're getting too much in terms of pure output, goals and assists from Yeremy Pino at the moment, and maybe Kamada in the front three. I think Liverpool can keep a clean sheet. And I think Arne Slot will be very wary following the Community Shield, following how good Palace have been as of late, to not engage in a game which allows them to utilize their transitional threat in the best way possible. So I can see Palace being slightly less likely to score than Newcastle. Yeah, I can see it in both games though, right? Like Newcastle could score, they couldn't. Palace could score, they couldn't, right? And they're both very good oppositions that they're coming up against. But for now, this is my personal preference. And you will see in the midfield section, I own Cody Gakpo. I think having that left-hand side combination and having both of them in my team is quite cool in terms of being able to access some upside, like in a goal and assist combination. And I do think I can get one from there potentially. There are a couple times where they linked against Everton, and I thought, okay, this could be an opportunity. They're not quite on the same wavelength, and the positioning isn't quite as good as you like, but maybe with another week's training, they can adapt and it will get better. The rest is very self-explanatory, right? I mean, Cucurella at home to Brighton. Aside from Forest, the best chance of a clean sheet, I'd say this game week. Brighton haven't looked as good of late. Of course, they have talent. Do I think they'll score? Yeah, probably. But my defenders, outside of the Forest boys, just have particularly hard fixtures this game week. He's also got that attacking threat. And I think, especially with Palmer out, the variation you'll see of Enzo Maresca's system is one which platforms Cucurella in a way where he can attack a lot more. The only way that wouldn't be the case is if he uses Gusto instead of Reece, which I don't think is going to happen, and then uses him wide right. But I expect Reece James to be in the side and as such, Cucurella to be able to bomb forward. And then the other two, it's not an easy fixture, and it's not as good as it looked when I picked them pre-game week 1, because Sunderland, through Aderinga, Isidore, Xhaka, Lafayette, Tadibi, Mokalele, Roofs, Alderete, and so on, have shown themselves to be a very good side, and particularly through the likes of Isidore, Mayenda, they've got goals in them, right? But how things stand, there's no one else to play, especially when I've got double Burnley on the bench. And you know what? I do think Williams' inverted role is much better for his chances of output. He nearly picked some up in the second half, or got close-ish, I think it's more accurate. And I'm actually quite looking forward to that prospect. And you know what? Maybe because they attack a bit more and they're better in that regard, Sells can rack up some save points and who knows, a hoard to repay the faith from the first 5 game weeks. That is currently the defense. If you have a really good argument as to why you'd play Gabriel ahead of any of these guys, then I'm all ears. Like I said, I'm still going to consider it. But for now, this is my preference. A man who at times has treated me so well in the past, and a man at times who's reminded me how good he is as an FPL asset, is back in my squad and back in the starting 11. And that is Philip Walter Foden, number 47. And I'm very happy to have him back, as you may pick up. Why? Well, as you'll see with the rest of the team, and it's no secret as to which forward I brought in for a hit, Erling Haaland, I had the option of going either him or Tijani Reinders. Now, if I went to Tijani Reinders this week, that would open up the option of Gakpo to the likes of Bruno Fernandes or whoever else I wanted, including Bukayo Saka, for Game Week 7. Very attractive options. If, however, I go Phil Foden, I cannot afford Bruno Fernandes nor Bukayo Saka next week. And as such, if I wanted to make a midfield transfer, which I'm actually not intending to do, because I think Gakpo's prospects against Chelsea are good enough, the options open to myself would be a Manchester United mid that's not Bruno Fernandes. So, for example, Brian Mbeumo and Matthias Cunha, which we'll actually talk about in the transfer plan section a little bit more. But for now, I'm okay with that. And as such, it became a toss-up between Foden and Reinders for this next spell. And what I said to myself is that, well, two things. Number one, Phil Foden's got a very unique capacity, especially amongst midfielders, to haul big, and I mean really big, and fairly consistently, all things considering. I mean, how many Premier League hat-tricks does he have compared to most midfielders that are currently in the game? A lot. He scores braces. He gets those goals and assists. Like, he has those huge haul performances in him. And all you have to do is watch him when he's on song. And he's always asking for the ball, right? He's more than happy to shoot from range. And his ball striking is good enough whereby he can actually score. And with this fixture, stylistically, it's a good matchup. But it's not really why I went here. Overall, the fixtures that are coming up are just good. He's in good form. And for me, when he's got this haul capacity that not many do, and it's very, very, very few who do, especially in a realistic sense at the moment, I think I have to go here. One thing with Tijani Reinders, he's a player I like a lot. I have noticed something in the final third, or just in general, where he can be a little bit snatchy, and he doesn't seem like he has as much time as some of the other players, maybe a little bit less composed with the shot. Not so much the pass, but with the shot. And I think that could be a little edge that Foden has over him as well. So, for Foden brought into the side, very likely. I haven't confirmed it. This is very likely what's going to happen. Who knows? Maybe I'll pivot to Tijani Reinders because I want Bruno Fernandes in Game Week 7, and I can't do that if I get Foden now. I can, but for a hit, I'm not going to do that. Or Bukayo Saka, open myself up to that. But I think it's unlikely I change my mind. And as such, I'm more than happy to have Phil Foden. The rest is fairly self-explanatory. I mean, Gakpo, as I expressed, the combination with him and Kirkes on the left side, great upside there for myself. He's also got a decent chance at DEFCON for most midfielders. I mean, like Semenyo, Njai, Bruno, all ahead of him. But as attacking midfielders go in the game, decent, especially in this game. If they're going to press in like their initial 4-2-4, then he's going to drop back in to make like a 4-3-3 and have a lot of work to do on Palace's right side with Munoz and Sarr. And then obviously good enough quality to get attacking returns. Don't love how he's been performing, but for now it's good enough, and I'd rather play the attacker over Gabriel. And then Njai and Semenyo, very, very self-explanatory. Hugely popular picks in the wildcard, hugely popular picks in general. Very happy to have them in place already. Which moves me on to the second part of my transfer set. And that is, of course, the most obvious transfer of the game week, Erling Haaland. He was pictured in trading, and that's good enough for me. See no reason to go without him. Fixture's good now, it's good in 7, it's good in 8. And you know what? With Villa away and Bournemouth at home, stylistically, both those matchups could be good. If they're not playing too well or he's just in such good form, I don't even need to sell him for those as well, right? And I'll have enough money to rejig, as I'll show you, to get some of my other preferences. So for now, I'm more than happy with that, and I'm not going to go into it too much because you know all the positives. João Pedro at home to Brighton, he'll definitely, undoubtedly, especially with the manner in which he left, and against Van Heck, will want to prove a point. So I'm looking forward to that matchup. And he won't be giving away penalties this time. That I'm quite confident of. And then Evan Nilsson, I mean, I've seen some people selling him. Away at Leeds, I think it's too good of a fixture for me to move on. You will see in Game Week 7, I am actually looking to get rid of him. But for now, it's just too good. And when I look at that 11, yes, I have used a hit. But when I look at that 11, I don't think the wildcard 11s are necessarily better than mine for this week. Obviously, they've accumulated some value, and obviously, you could argue they're stronger down the line. But even down the line, I mean, like, the template midfield will be Semenyo, Njai, Reinders, Bruno. I have Semenyo and Njai, that's half of it. Foden instead of Reinders, which I think is better. And then, let's just say, hypothetically, I were to go Gakpo to Cunha next week. It's just him versus Bruno, right? Not the end of the world. Haaland, JP, got that covered. And then that third forward spot. And you know what? With Newcastle away, West Ham at home, I think is good. But then Fulham at home, Fulham away, and Palace at home, I don't think that's great for Gyökeres, and I wouldn't be surprised if other forwards outscored him. And then I've got Gabriel. which is one of the back four. Okay, yeah, fine, I don't have double Arsenal defense, but Cucurella from Game Week 9 is really solid. Not many have him. And then between mainly Karkez and Estev when he has Leeds at home, I think it's good enough. So for now, I'm happy enough with the squad. And we can move briefly onto captaincy. Now, whilst it looks very simple, and it is to an extent, there was a real part of me before this video that was thinking about moving that armband to his other City teammate, but I just couldn't justify it in the end. I saw a comment yesterday about how it might be a better stylistic matchup with Foden, and you know what? Maybe it will be, but with all due respect to Burnley, and I've been someone who said Burnley's been good over the last few weeks, I just think the gap in quality might be a little bit too much for them to contend with this week. And Haaland, irrespective of the fact that it's not a suitable system to play against for him, will still exploit them and still hurt them. And so will City with Doku. And you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if he really lets the reins off and he actually uses Savinho on the right instead of Bernardo Silva. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But if he does, Savinho, Reinders, Doku, Haaland, Foden, I don't think they're stopping it. And I think Haaland's going to get a hell of a lot of supply. And even if he uses Bernardo, it's going to be good enough. So I've gone with an Erling Haaland. You know my thoughts about triple captain. I personally think it's optimal to play it on a mid, and as such, I'll hold out for that. Who knows, maybe Palace beat Liverpool when we get a double game week. That could be cool as an opportunity to use it for as well. And yeah, that's about it. Maybe I'd use a free hit in that game week, but we'll see. And yeah, that's about it. The vice is on Semenyo because I don't want to triple captain Foden. Captain Foden, if for whatever reason Haaland misses out, right? Because then I think it becomes a very different prospect. But the vice is on Semenyo as such. That's about it when it comes to captaincy. On screen, you can see my team for Game Week 6. And what I'll be doing is essentially going through it from 6 now to 12 and just showing you what the plan could look like and the new plan could look like and whether it is viable for me to avoid the wildcard in that period. Now, like I've said, I'm more open to doing it. I'm more open to the fact that if things change, I'll pounce on the opportunity and take it and wildcard. But for now, I'm okay with how my squad is in Game Week 6. I think it's very strong. And then from Game Week 7, like I said, a little bit more and more open. So, and if you do want to use this tool, by the way, which is super helpful, super helpful. You've seen it in a lot of my videos now, not only for predicted points and idea generation, but just for planning as well. Then you can check it out with the link in the description. Additionally, they've got my favorite tool on site, the fixture ticker, which is customizable and sorted. You can sort it by many different variables. Anyway, going back to the team. You are out of here, mate, because you have not been great for me. I'm sure at some point it will come good. And in his place comes the man himself, Phil Foden. And then, you know, Bakar earlier when I was on Green Arrow told me a quote that and said that Igor Jesus started against Real Betis because it was essentially a good stylistic matchup. And that kind of points to Wood starting Sunderland. He also said it was no fault of Wood's own that he got dropped. And with his stature at the club, with his past success, you'd expect Chris Wood to start. But it's just not enough for me. Sunderland are good enough whereby I have enough respect for them not to look at it like a slam dunk. And like I said, I'm just not interested in having to deal with the expected minutes drama down the line. So he goes. And you know what? If he does score a brace, I wouldn't be that surprised, but he goes. Obviously, this is not the exact team. I've got 98% game week rating. When I'm not on a wild card, I'm mostly wild. So I think it's great. It's obviously going to go down when I put Karkez in. Probably go down to 96? Only 97. So that's solid, right? Then game week 7. Now, this is not as pretty, and I completely agree. And I said from the start that this game week in particular is quite awkward. Why? Well, if you look at Arsenal, they have West Ham. If you look at Man United, they have Sunderland at home. If you look at Villa, they have Burnley at home. If you look at Spurs, they have Leeds away. Even if you look at Newcastle, if they pick up some form against Arsenal, right, because they keep grinding out results without playing particularly well, Gordon's back. Maybe Forest are susceptible defensively under Ange. We'll see how that develops. Then honestly, that fixture as well could be a good one. And I'm looking at this team and I don't have any United. I don't have any Spurs. I don't have any Villa. I don't have any Arsenal attack. So whilst my players aren't bad, I'm just not taking advantage of that potentially higher upside. Now, in terms of opportunity cost, I think there's more of an opportunity in Game Week 14 to free hit over the team I'd have then. And as such, I'm avoiding. But you can just see from the initial team Game Week rating, not great. Obviously, I'll optimize it and it'll get better with Gabriel coming to the side. Now 85. And what I'm thinking of doing here is actually just letting the defense run this week, right? I won't play both of these guys. I think I'd play Neko in here, and I just try and get some DEFCON potentially, which you can certainly do, especially up against Gordon. Let's just say I drop Perkez. And then, you know what? With how Villa are playing at the moment, good save potential. I don't think it's the end of the world. And you know what? Just if I felt really bored, I could start double Forest defense. And again, it might not be the end of the world. I don't think it'll go well, but still. And the reason for that, and the reason I'm not going to spend the money on bringing in another mid is because I'm going to sell this guy instead. Fulham at home, and we can actually just go and look at his fixtures. Fulham at home, not easy. Defensively, not easy. Palace away, not easy. From an attacking sense, right? Their defense, not easy. Okay, yeah, Forest and City stylistically could be good, but he's not someone who horse you. So if he does go blank against Fulham Palace, it's going to be hard to recover that. Whereas this guy, who's cheaper, has Brighton at home. I think that's exploitable. Sunderland away and Burnley at home, which I think is much better. And I think he's got more haul potential. And he has penalties. So that's the plan for Game Week 7, to do that. And then this attack still looks strong. Even though I'm not using a free hit, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and even this matchup I'm cool with, right? This is cool. The defense isn't that solid, but, you know, it's just 1 week. I'm okay with it. I don't want a wild card just for that defense. Then Game Week 8, he has Leeds at home. He has Fulham away. He has Forest away. This is cool, right? And I could always just go double Burnley defense. Now, maybe not ideal. And if I didn't want to do that, right? Because obviously Leeds at home is the attractive fixture. If I didn't want to do that, Kirkers at home to Man United is one that I'm very comfortable playing as well. And who knows, maybe he's actually better than Cucurella away to Forest. And yeah, I mean, then now I have Sunderland at home instead of Palace away. That's very nice. I can roll in this week. This is easily strong enough. I can roll this week. And, you know, if I don't want to roll, then there's a transfer there for me to use in whatever fashion. Obviously, this means that I avoid United in Game Week 7 and I don't have Mbeumo, Cunha, or Bruno. But long term, I think it's okay. And you know what? Maybe Evan Nilsson just does look really good. And I'm just going to keep him for a while. In which case, I'll move Gakpo into Cunha / Mbeumo. And then Game Week 8, let's just say we roll. Game Week 9, we're getting closer to Arsenal's fixtures really turning for that Burnley away thing. Again, it's strong. And like the defense this time is even stronger. So I could again just roll. Like I don't see many problems with this team. I could just roll. And then I get to 10 with 3 frees, right? And now they have Burnley away and Sunderland away. And now I want to pants. So then I can take Strand Larsen out. I could take Gakpo out and I could take Foden out. I could rejig that. And this is just an example of what I could get to, right? Because I have a little bit more depth in my defense that I'm willing to use. And it's just an example, right? I could obviously do a few things, but bang, all of a sudden I have triple Arsenal with these 2 fixtures. Lovely. And then I have still 6.8 million left in the bank following the Eze selection. And then I can go and get basically, obviously not whoever I want, but within reason. And his Melissa, Brentford at home, Brighton at home, Wolves away. That's good. And then a wildcard. So that's really good. And this team looks solid. I don't think like I look at my team any week and I'm like, oh, this is in desperate need of a wildcard, right? And I also get to keep Haaland, which is very nice. So that's that. And you know what? If I didn't want to do Saar, obviously Chelsea after Spurs away have Wolves at home, and then we have Burnley away, so I could go to Enzo Fernandez. And then again, in 11th, the team's strong. I finally get good fixtures for Forest. And basically what you can see is I don't think it's in like a need of a wild card. The team's like the defense, especially that week's really strong. So it's mainly just looking at it 7, 8, 9, right? And even 9's not too bad. It's mainly just 7 and 8. And yeah, it's not ideal, but I think I can get through it. I really do. And then from here, it's just like, okay, whatever I want to do, right? Maybe I want to optimize the team that week. Maybe I'll take 2 frees into this week and sort it. But either way, it's definitely cool. Maybe get a third Chelsea asset for there. Maybe sell Haaland, redistribute the funds to get 2 like semi-premiums and basically just do whatever I want. Who knows? Maybe I'll get really aggressive and take a hit. But it's strong. And then Game Week 13, if we were to come here, and I've shown you the wildcard draft that I want, the only players in here that would survive are 1, Semenyo, 2, Haaland. That's it, right? And then maybe these guys. But that's it. Because then I'd start to want Brentford and Newcastle and Liverpool and more City, right? which I wouldn't want beforehand. That's a big change. So this is still the current strategy. I'd hope it works. And if I can stick to it, great. If not, then I'm sure something else will come along that's better. That is all she wrote for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I certainly hope you enjoyed, particularly the last section and talking about Phil Foden were my favorites for this video. If at any point you did enjoy, a like on the video would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for your support in advance. Take 1 second just to go and click it now. I shall see you tomorrow for solving your problems. In the meantime, have a terrific day. And if you have any questions at all, please do just drop them in the comments. I shall do my best to get back to you. Goodbye.